Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Dead Air podcast. We're back in the building. We've got Blank, of course, long-time podcaster, and then we've got ZP joining us, long-time listener, first-time podcast joiner. How you doing, ZP?
Doing good. Look, we finally made it happen. Feels like it's been a thing that's been in progress for a while, where at one point it was going to be done in a hotel room at an event, and then things changed, and finally it's worked out here today.
We've dragged him in. We've got him.
Yeah.
We pulled up in the van outside ZP's house. We said, get in the van. We're going to do a podcast.
I've never actually gone to a van for a podcast before. It was very...
What do you mean? You're in the van right now.
No, I know. I mean, until now.
That's a great backdrop that we did for you, isn't it? Looks like your room.
Yeah, exactly.
What, like we painted the back of the van?
Yeah.
ZP's in there now.
Yeah.
Man, that'd be a twist. The whole time, every episode's been a van and elaborately painted.
Well, if anything
van.
happens to me now, it's plausible deniability. It's like, was he in a van or, was he in his room?
Who knows?
Yeah.
It could be the truth. Could not be the truth. We'll leave that to you guys. ZP in the van.
Yeah.
ZP on wheels. Yeah.
That'd be good. That would be good. Maybe we
ZP in
could
the
sign
van.
off on that, like a TV series, you know?
ZP in the van.
ZP in the van.
I don't know if it gives off the right.
What, ZP in the van?
Yeah.
Well, no, it would be good. It'd be like a surprise comedy show. Like he'd burst out like Ashton Kutcher or something and go, "I've been in the van." Everyone's like, "Whoa!"
I don't know if vans are that in style at this point.
Yeah, we could get you a fancy van. Like, and those...
like a Beetle, like a VW8 Beetle.
I was thinking more a bodyguard van. Like the chunky ones.
Well, if it was 2018, you could live in LA and then just sleep in the van the entire time.
Yeah, true. I mean, I hope that's not what you're doing.
I've often thought about just foregoing everything and renovating a van and kind of just driving around in the van and living in the van. But apparently it's very hot and I think they stink. The windows break sometimes due to the temperature change. There's not much room. You're always slightly rocking. You used to dump all the piss out the van every time, every week.
What was I saying about the van? There was something about the van. Yeah, have you done a pros and cons for the van life?
No, well, I've just thought about it a lot. But when you weigh it up for what it is, it's probably not that worth it. It sounds fun. It sounds like it would be a shed on wheels.
Yeah,
but probably not.
You could do like a year adventure. I reckon might be quite
year
fun.
In the van, stream from the van, Deadlock from the van.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I've seen people set up full cool internet setups in there as well.
Yeah,
it could work.
Could do. Would you ever? Did you have these in America, ZP? But if you're going from one point to another point, you're not taking the train, you're not taking a car. But if you're going over a body of water, you take the ferry, which is basically like a boat for cars and people.
I think there's maybe a handful of areas in the U.S. where that's a thing, but I have personally never been on a ferry to go anywhere.
Okay.
The U.S. loves cars. It loves being able to drive anywhere, so we've done everything possible to just make everything drivable for the most part.
Right, so ferries just aren't a thing in the Americas.
I think they are in some places, but it's probably more where there's more water, right?
But this is you just meet people who've just never seen a ferry, been on a ferry though.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a big I did not know that. That's news to me.
I think if you're going to Martha's Vineyard up in the Northeast, I think you might need to get on a ferry, but I'm not even sure.
The Martha's Vineyard. Damn.
It's a very bougie retreat area.
Sounds intellectual.
Yes.
Martha's Vineyard.
Are you pulling it up?
Just having a look.
Get a screen share on that. Can you do that?
What? Maybe.
We could test out. We have new technology, by the way, guys. We've upgraded. We've leveled up.
We can actually see each other for the first time in the podcast history. See, ZP, you won't know this, but every other one of these we've filmed, we've never been able to see each other because we just record our own cameras and audio and then add it together later. So we've always just assumed what's going on for the past 12 episodes. But now we're using new internet technology.
Yeah, which is actually kind of good. I'm not going to lie. I'm digging it already. It has so many options.
Also, I was right. I just looked it up. Yeah, you do have to ferry to go to Martha's Vineyard. So there you go. One place in the U.S. where you need a ferry.
And then here, I can see here if this works. I'll share my screen.
Oh, my Lord.
Share that.
This is next gen.
Look at this.
This is next gen.
There's a picture here of Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
But you can also see it's then compared to the size of a whale. So
wow.
this is how big a whale would be.
Yeah.
In
is that the ferry on the bottom?
Well, I think that's more of like a gallows type boat.
A gallows, like a galleon.
Yeah, rather than like they're going to chop your heads off on a boat.
Yeah, maybe not a gallows.
Yeah. Chappaquiddick Island.
Maybe a little brig.
Yeah.
I played Sea of Thieves one time. I won with the piracy.
But this looks fun. I mean, it does look like the sort of town that a little shark could swim right in there and then you panic.
Yeah, you could do.
You
He's
know.
not finding his way out either.
No, I don't think he
Look
would.
at him, he's in and out.
Yeah.
It's like a rat trap. Quick visits, rat trap for a shark. I'm so we've derailed.
That's all right. That's what we do. So, ZP, thoughts on the upcoming shark hero for Deadlock, who swims in and nibbles on your feet?
Slork.
Yeah, Slork.
Yeah.
Well, no, Slork got rebranded though, didn't it? So
Still got
R.I.P.
the
Slork.
shark face though.
he's not called Slork anymore though. So the believers of Slork has kind of ruined their lives.
Has it?
Yeah.
Is that why Adams changed his name?
Yeah, I think he's doing it like in memoriam of Slork.
That's so
Dead
sad.
now. Slork is R.I.P. He was a real one.
Fathom. I see. Fathom's the new name. That's depressing.
Rough on it. No more Slork. I mean, Slork kind of was just a meme of Slark from Dota.
Yeah, it was, but still.
R.I.P.
I had a point where I stopped looking at kind of the data mine stuff because I realized like some of the characters have changed a lot from like their data mine format to when they're actually in game. And it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait till they're in game for
Before I make any assumptions. Yeah,
yeah,
but
pretty much.
I like to
Well,
base my opinions on unfinished stuff.
You remember Shiv's data mine, right? Shiv used to possess people with his ultimate.
Yeah.
Like he would actually just go in, he like turned into a bat, would fly into someone, and then could move them around. And then he comes in game and said he's just executing people.
Yeah.
That was in up until the very last day as well. Then they quick switched the ult out. Because like some of them get little ability upgrades all the time. Like random stuff changes. But he was the only one that stayed the same right up until the end. They took his rocket boots away. And they took away his old ult.
Killed him.
Yeah,
And then they
rough.
killed him after 3 hours.
Yeah,
He was in queue for 3 hours. They
Nerf
took him
that.
out back.
Nerf that.
Yeah.
Put it down. He's doing too much damage.
Did you get to play him pre-nerf, ZP?
Who, Shiv?
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
the
I mean-
very first nerf though that came through. I think he was out for 3 hours.
Oh, in
before he
that
got
case,
nerfed.
no, I didn't play in
Yeah.
the first 3 hours.
Me and Jackie both played him and it was immense. We won
It was
both
good. It was
games
a good
so
time.
easily.
Like,
Yeah.
he was just throwing out knives at people. He's dead. He's dead.
dead.
He's
He's
dead.
dead.
Yeah.
The
It was
funny thing
good.
is, like, I'm not even sure I'd like consider his current power low like overpowered per se, but he still is like in the tier of characters that people play against. And are just like, oh, nope, hate this guy, do not want to play against
Yeah.
Shiv ever. You know?
So unenjoyable to play against. I did. I was watching Listic earlier, right? And he was playing against an ass who's like a really good pocket player. And it was probably the most sad thing I've ever seen because you know bloodletting like defers damage. So if they were putting he was just afflicting, using ult on him, dropping affliction on him every fight, and then he would shoot him a bunch of times, but the deferred damage would tick down. So he would die to bloodletting, but the affliction just almost always killed him. It felt like such a horrid counter to Shiv. I think at one point he just said, just open base. I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm so you're having a bad time. Jump in. Come on. Help me
But no,
out.
I thought that was Jackie's time to go in.
Well, this is...
Mate,
I've told you
mad.
that's my story, and you've...
No, you brought that to
you've
the
stumped me.
table. You were excited about that. You
Yeah.
told your piece.
No, I'm saying here, I'm just like,
No
okay,
one's
we're
asked.
going well. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
Jackie hasn't like weighed in on the
You've
Sogan
killed
Jackie in
me.
time. I'm just
I'm
instead me
gonna
and Jackie
do
just
now.
do nothing, and we just
I brought the mac and cheese to the table, and you've brought old 3-day-old potato salad. Like, I'm disappointed.
That's good, dude. I just found that funny. It's like a game of chicken. Someone will say something.
I opened my mouth. I was like, am I going to have to say something?
I come back in.
Am I going to jump back
So
in?
that's what I've been doing today,
Yeah.
guys. Fucking hell. I mean,
That's
I
wild.
I made some chicken. I made some really nice chicken today. That was nice. I whipped that up in the kitchen.
throwing
about
this
10
out
minutes
there?
before the show. What do you want me to add? What do you want me to go? Bloody hell, mate! That's sick. Actually, yeah, the interaction between Pocket and
Yeah.
Shiv.
I would have liked that. I would have
That's
really
so
liked that. That would have been
All right,
really
so we can
nice.
do it again if you want. But
No,
I was
I'm
just,
okay.
yeah, just
I was
I'm
just
going to
like-
cry.
from the beginning.
I'm going to cry
I'm
right
just
now.
let- I
I'm
was
going to
just
cry
let-
right now.
letting you have your moment. You know, you were telling us about an interaction that you enjoyed. That was it.
Stupid, man. Stupid.
He's had enough. Look, he's gone.
No.
Just burrowed out.
I've come back,
He's
guys.
back.
I miss you guys. I miss you. I miss
He's
you too
back.
much. I'm back. I'm back.
Do you see him pixelating? I see him like very heavily pixelating.
It's fine. It will look normal on the recording.
Okay.
It
You
will
both look
yeah.
disgusting to me right now.
Yeah, it's a bit like that for me as well. But I think it will look fine on the recording, and that's all that matters.
Although there's
You
a weird
look awesome,
dynamic here. We
ZP.
have like me and Blank looking straightforward generally, and then Jacky's just
I'm off to the side.
directly to the side for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
Who
You're
are you
over
gonna stare
here.
at?
You're over here, you two.
You're like there to me.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
like,
I mean, I could
like
put
right
you
there.
over here, but it just feels a bit like I'm
Nice.
over this way now. which
Yeah,
isn't
no,
as
just
good.
stay there.
And then
Just-
my headset's gone. I've ripped out my audio. This is probably the scuffed episode. that we've ever done. Look, my cables have come out. Look at that. I'm gonna have to plug it back in.
This guy.
And away he goes.
No way he goes. We've got 2 people who've left the podcast already. This is upsetting. The thing.
This is a terrible episode.
This
Why have we
is
done this?
Why have we done this? The thing is, though, it's quite funny to me. Is that
Yeah.
you just feel like you just try to sniff my ears right now. Try to get
Sniff
in
your
there.
ears?
Yeah, you try to get in there.
What does that
I'm
mean?
glad I've got headphones on. They're protected. On my screen, it's like you're right up against my ear. Just your schnoz.
Sorry?
Yeah, just your schnoz is like right up against my ear right now.
How are you looking at this? It looks fine for me.
Oh, that's fair. But you're
Also,
like, where are you? Where are you on
I mean,
scale at?
I'm on top. You're in the middle. ZP's on the bottom. That's what I can see.
Oh, really? I've got
Yeah.
like ZP's
Wait,
on the
you're see-
right. You're in
I'm
the
seeing-
middle. I'm on the left.
Yeah, I don't have vertical orientation here at all. I have like left, middle, right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
mine's stacked like this, top down.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
That's
top
probably
down.
why. Yeah, for me, it's weird.
Looks fine for me. Yeah, that's
Can
why
I adjust it?
I don't think so. Unless do you have a vertical monitor?
Oh, dude, I can just maximize ZP. That's good.
Oh, is that all you need?
just take me and supersize me. All right, great.
Zoom
Maximize ZP. Yeah, this is good. I feel better now.
Put
I feel
ZP
safe.
on top. Actually,
My
that kinda
ears feel
works.
safe. Yeah, my ears feel safe.
I'm not trying to sniff your ears. Like I promise.
Get out my ears, bro.
I'm not there. I'm not
All
there.
right. Okay.
Okay. Well, let's take a second here
Okay.
and calm down. Okay. So you've watched some streams.
I guess.
We've all ignored you. I think it's the first time anyone's ever been ignored on the show.
Yeah.
Took 8 episodes and it's you. So
That's really
unlucky,
hurtful.
bro. Yeah, like it's kind of fucked up.
I mean, I'll take the hit, I guess. Yeah.
And now we'll look at where we are. So here's something we can talk about.
Okay.
Figured this out today because I was making a video. Do you know that the punching animation in Deadlock originally was a knife, and that's why it has the full swipe side to side and has that cone-shaped hitbox?
I didn't know that. No, that's new
Yeah.
knowledge to me.
There you go. There's Neon Prime footage of it where everyone's attack animation was a swipe.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Was
That's
it
a, lot
like
of that's a lot of knife violence for a game where everyone's otherwise carrying a gun. Where you just go in and just like you just go and stab, no matter what.
Just stab everyone. Yeah.
How do
I
we?
feel it also would have drastically changed the trajectory of all the Abrams memes, where people make fan art
True.
of Abrams punching
Yeah.
something.
Parry the blade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a highwayman.
You know, the thing is, maybe if they put like an astral gate in London, that could be an alternate map in that timeline. Would have been good.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about the characters that would have been spawned from that area though. I don't
Right,
think
not
it would-
bad. Like you think about it, like a Jack the Ripper type character. Could have had a lot of
Really?
weird characters. Could have
Yeah,
been
maybe.
good.
Man, that just brought back memories of. I remember there was one event I worked with Machine, and we got dropped off very not close to our hotel. And it was the area of London where it's just like you actually could get mugged, and I just remember Machine being like, "Man, I really hope I don't get stabbed tonight."
That's so sad. Yeah. That's the whole ordeal as well. It's like a whole process you have to go through.
Oh, but it's a nightmare. If you get stabbed,
Yeah.
it's a nightmare. Like,
yeah, it's not the one and done.
No, it's your night's ruined. Minimum.
Big time.
Minimum.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's shit. I
was stabbed actually.
I was actually once. Yeah, I was.
Oh, for
stabbed.
real?
Yeah, I was in primary school. And
okay.
One of
Does
the
it
kids,
count?
Well, kind of. The kid next to me just turned around and stabbed me in the leg.
With a knife or a
So he had
pencil, or-
taken like a B2 whatever like pencil and been sharpening it over the course of an entire class. It was very sharp, and then he just like full heavy punched into my leg with it and broke it off. And I went, oh.
Jesus.
Yeah,
That's wild.
he was crazy, dude. But the head teacher came and got him and made him write lines. That was it. That was his punishment.
With the knife pencil.
with the pencil we'd previously used
Yeah.
in
but-
life. Yeah.
So you got stabbed in primary school, but Blank, where did you get stabbed?
Oh, I didn't get stabbed. So I was just making a meme, and then Jackie was like, "Oh no, it actually happened."
All right,
I
so
did.
Jackie's the winner here by default. You know.
Yeah.
Well, no one
I don't know if
wins
he
in
wins.
Life
Yeah.
Crime, the video game.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, it's not
The thing
ideal.
is, though, is that why is pencil such a weapon in the UK?
Well, it
Like,
just is. You sharpen it. It's pretty
Especially
sturdy.
like that happened in my secondary school. Someone got penciled in the
Penciled.
eyeball.
Oh,
Yeah.
the eyeball,
In the eyeball.
bro.
Yeah, it was well mean.
Imagine that. Like that would be a hell of a Deadlock update.
Yeah.
Someone called Number B2, and it's just the
Number
pencils,
B2.
like really sharp. He's just stabbing everyone.
Is this like a John Wick reference we're doing now?
Not really. It could be, but not
Yeah,
really.
but not
Yeah.
really. It's more like a
Or
secondary
more
school.
of a what was it was Dark Knight, wasn't it? Where he's like, "Do you want to see a trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear." Slams his head on table.
You guys keep talking. I'm going to change the battery in my headset. This is a really scuffed episode. So sorry, guys.
Is your headset dying?
Yeah, it's beeping at me. It's going.
Well, when you get in a car and the seatbelt's not quite clicked in,
Yeah, but it's like terrifically annoying. So I'm going to have to sort it out.
it's all gone wrong.
It's basically he has like a fire alarm that's going off like in his ear. You know when the fire alarm like needs its battery changed. Essentially, it's that or smoke detector. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Fucking fire alarms. Dude, I just remember consistently being attacked by fire alarms when I'd go to Basingstoke for these Counter-Strike events. And there was one night I was so tired that the entire hotel was evacuated, but I just slept through it. And I woke up to phone calls from Byfield, Snods, number one AWPer in the UK. And he was telling me, like, "Where are you? Everyone's outside. The building is burning." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm slowly putting on my jeans. And then it turns off. And he went, "Okay, it's all right. They've just said it was a false alarm." And everyone starts coming back in. Apparently it had been like half an hour. I'd just been sleeping through this whip, whip. But when I woke up, it was so loud you couldn't even think. It was the loudest thing I had ever heard.
How'd you
But
sleep through that?
And
That's
you slept
incredible.
through it for 30
Just
minutes.
took it on the chin. Just took it on the chin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just tired.
I kind of understand that though, because Basingstoke, that's a area where you like to fall asleep and not wake up for a while. To be honest with you.
It's not amazing. A shout out
Yeah.
to anyone that lives in Basingstoke.
Yeah.
One
Well,
time.
where the eSport? Did you go to the hotel that's right next to the cinema?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a.
This is a Universal UK Basingstoke
Yeah.
hotel for esports. Yeah, it was. That's just in the middle of nowhere. It's not even Basingstoke. It's
No,
just
it's
like
awful.
it's purgatory that they put you in.
I
it's
remember
great.
once, ZP, when I was there in this little town, I went to get ice cream because I was doing nothing. I thought I'll grab some ice cream. And the ice cream shop, to indicate that they had made a Red Bull flavored ice cream, just put a crushed, half broken can of Red Bull in the ice cream. You know, like how they show off, like this one is coconut, and it will have like a picture that says coconut.
Yeah.
They just mash the can into the ice cream.
Yeah, that's not the most appealing way to present your ice cream.
This is the UK, though, isn't it? Really, we do some stuff. We do some fun stuff. You've escaped, Jackie,
Although-
though, haven't you?
Although it's kind
I've
of funny,
gone,
you mentioned ice cream. That was like one of the first things I think I remember. Like the first week I knew you, Jackie, you were in the U.S. for observing at the time, and it's like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I rented the car. Let's go out and do stuff. Hey, like this place is good ice cream. Brought like you and Slingy to this random ice cream place. It was actually really good.
Dude, it was banging. It was actually,
Yeah.
it was actually sick. Like that was a good time, man. Yeah, it's nice. It was nice ice cream.
I miss esports adventures, boys. Big time. Big time.
Yeah,
I need to get back on it at some point.
I know. Bloody
Yeah.
COVID. We've all been inside for years, haven't we? Once they
Yeah.
open up outside again and start doing in-person events, we can just pretend it's COVID.
It'd be
all over
great.
Again. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you guys in so long. God.
Yeah, well, you see, that was the problem with COVID, is that while we do have more live events now, esports-wise, is that it also got people really comfortable. It's like, but do we need as many live
Yeah,
events?
that's
We've
true.
developed all this great
Yeah.
remote broadcasting technology. Maybe we should just use it for more things.
Yeah, let's keep everyone at home. Just do a nice
I'm
little
essentially
online
a shut-in. Yeah.
show. Yeah. It's true. In Japan, they're called hikikomoris, aren't they? If you don't leave your house, like if that's your
You're like
whole
a-
goal.
It's a neat. Pretty
No, I
sure.
think it is a hikikomori, no?
I think that's also true. What is it? Neat. Not engaged in housework, not enrolled in school or work-related training, and not seeking work. Yeah, you just shutting. That's another one for it. So what did you say?
Hikikomori apparently is a form of severe social withdrawal And is
Hikikomori versus
characterized by
Neat.
adolescents and young adults who become recluses in their parents' homes, unable to go to work or school for months and or years. Damn. Modern day hermits in Japan, apparently.
Yeah. Apparently like the same thing, but just at different stages.
I see.
Yeah, while Neat and Hikikomori are different, they can easily lead to each other. They go both ways. Symbiotic relationship.
Interesting. There you go. That's the sort of
So I've realized on this
breakdown
podcast
you get
that there's actually very little Deadlock that gets talked about.
Hey, we get to it. We get to it.
It's Deadlock adjacent. It's Deadlock adjacent. You save that bit till the end because that's
okay.
you know, we've said it before. It's like having a yogurt, but if you get the yogurt in too deep on the first spoonful, you get it all, and then it's like, oh, that was too much yogurt.
It's too much.
You know,
It's just some bands. Some bands, CP.
Well, ease you in with some banter.
Yeah. You've done some good banter. We've done some good banter. It's been a good time overall.
Actually, I guess what goes into it is at the time we did talk Deadlock, we did just sort of ignore Blank. So
that's like a sour mark on the episode.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
If you're listening, comment. Feel bad for Blank, honestly.
Yeah, it's just mean, isn't it? Really?
Just comment, feel bad.
I've tried, and then
it's all right. You turn up to the podcast with something to talk about. You tried.
It's not my first rodeo, is it? Really? Yeah. Honestly, it has been technically a fun week for Deadlock. Maybe not for everyone. It's been an interesting one in terms of the soul changes that have been coming through, back and forth, and Yoshi reverting this and that. Since we saw, I think it actually happened after the Deadlock Core tournament, Jacky. I think it was because it's been something that's been abused for a while, and then it was massively abused in that tournament, where you're having Hazes and Furnace just wandering over to the other lane. Curious on your thoughts on this, ZP, and what's the... Hello?
Sorry, one second.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, yeah, we can just cut it out.
Fourth podcast member.
I thought it was Alexa. Alexa!
There's fire. There's fire in the house.
Alexa, call the police. What do you mean?
It might go through the headphones. You might actually have an Alexa.
There's no way. Alexa, order 17 cans of Mountain Dew.
That's good. That's respectable.
That's funny. But what? Alexa, the building's on fire. Alexa, call the police immediately.
That's a bad thing to happen in the North Americas.
Wait, what happened? What are you talking about?
Jacky's trying to get you in troubles.
I just kept saying Alexa. I wondered if I could. I was trying to see if I could set off an Alexa, but there's no Alexa. It's fine. Everything's good.
We're all good.
Yeah.
All right, so where we leave off? We were talking about the soul changes.
Yeah, soul soaking.
Soaking of the souls.
Yeah.
The double soak, as it was called by Catgirl in an advanced guide ages ago. It was brought up for the Infernuses and Hazes to get mega ahead. And then there's been a load of weird changes going through with that. They reverted the most recent one. I thought that fix was good, if not a bit buggy.
Well, you can only get the 4 soul interactions per wave.
Yeah. And it was capped out at 3. But we've got ZP here, and ZP is knowledgeable man. So I want to hear ZP's thoughts.
Well, I think it's one of those things, right, where it's obviously you take a look at gameplay flow. They probably don't want the meta to revolve around the best way to do the early game is wave manipulation and double soaking repeatedly, right? And the question just becomes when you're dealing with something like this is what is the best way of fixing something like this that doesn't feel awkward for everyone involved, that doesn't feel too gamey? Because it's something where you look at the intended lane behavior, right? They probably would like to have situations where it's okay, solo, duo, and all the lane interaction that happens there, because a lot of people enjoy, the lane phase of the game. And you want to sort of hit the right balance where you can still incentivize people to gank, but you don't incentivize everyone to constantly be roaming to do this, soak stuff, right? So
yeah,
they identified the problem they need to fix, and now it's just, okay, what is the proper way of, stamping out this behavior in a way that doesn't feel bad for the game overall, right?
Yeah. I think at the moment, I think what I ran into is that I would have someone lose a lane horrendously bad, then they would come to my lane, but it would be just one other guy, and the way it works, I would get half soul value on everything, even though it was just 2 of us in our lane. So me and one other dude versus one other solo, we were both getting less souls than the solo guy on the other team. It was a weird fix, I think, but I think ZP's right though. Right, it's the right fix to go for. It's just implementing it correctly. And then also I have questions like, how do you enforce the solo, duo? Like, is that going to change the future? There's some weird stuff. There's some weird stuff afoot as the meta forms.
Well, the soul sharing like definitely enforces that within reason, right? Like you would even like before the changes, you would never want to do like a trio lane because you're just outright losing on the amount of souls that you're getting. Right. The only weird stuff before is just sort of, well, what if you wanted to do a strategy where you specifically went out of your way to put duos against solos, right? And you kind of have to wonder, are they going to do anything where it's like, no, this is just, actually this is a solo lane, which I think the new change actually does. That, or at least the change, I don't know if it's live yet or was in like a preview or whatnot, but I think like they might be going for a thing where, hey, this lane is just solo, period, up until this amount of time, and you won't get soul sharing if you go duo here. And that would actually ensure that you get 2 solo lanes, 2 duo lanes, not... Because you know how things go, and especially MOBAs. Eventually, some team is going to be like, we can gain an advantage by doing a duo lane when they're expecting a solo, and all the mechanics that come from that in terms of like manipulating the early game. So they might just be trying to go for a system that is pretty concretely, you will have 2 solo lanes, you will have 2 duo lanes, and this stamps down a little bit of your freedom in this situation, but it still makes for a better overall experience when you're trying to look for these specific lane interactions. Yeah.
Jacky's deep in thought right now.
No, it's just it made me laugh the idea of just everyone going silent again. It just tickled me. Just thinking about
I had to save it.
I know. I
don't want
it
to.
was the game of chicken started again. I was like, maybe I'll just see what happens.
You were so stoic as well.
Like, I know. There's a common denominator here. Now it's happened twice. It's Jacky. Jacky is like sitting here trying to
Jackie's the
lay
problem.
people out.
It's be funny.
I've even moved him out the middle, and he's drawing like a wedge between us right now.
Still freaking out. Damn.
You are. Scaring
me.
Sorry, guys. It's like the fourth night of Freddy's right now.
I think, again, it makes sense because it is just one of those where there was way more eyes on a lot of things that Valve probably didn't want happening, and now they've realised and gone, oh, shit. Because the only reason it probably wasn't as bad before is because, like you say, so many people are now referring to this as like a brand new thing that's just been discovered with this level staking. But obviously, Catgirl had written about it eons ago. In the tapestries, it was written. But it's funny, I see people spotting it and they're like, this has been fixed in days after discovery. And it's like, well, not really.
I can find it actually when she wrote it.
It's funny. I do have a little bit of like related lore there. Is that the person that invited Catgirl to Deadlock like early in the game? It was me.
Oh. Was it you?
ZP got Catgirl.
ZP? No way! This is so cool.
What?
You spawned Catgirl in Deadlock.
Well,
that's crazy.
So the reason where I met Catgirl was back in it was a game called Deceive Inc. that for whatever reason I was just no-lifing that game for a while, and Catgirl is like basically one of the only other like really good players in that game, and it's like Deadlock, and I was like, hey, you might enjoy this game. Sent an invite over.
Oh my! This is awesome.
This is crazy lore I didn't know about.
This is so cool. This is a revelation.
On top of also inviting Jacky.
It's true. Yeah.
ZP, who invited Blank.
ZP is like the granddaddy. Yeah, he's the big man behind the scenes, pulling the shadows, pulling the strings.
It's not even the first time, because if you go back to old Overwatch stuff, I was basically the matchmaker to get both Cool Matt and Tailspin like into the beta like super early on as well.
Look at him go. He's a machine.
I'm just, I don't know. I'm just saying here, like, for whatever reason, I always end up in this position. It's like, it's early in the game. It's time to invite people.
You're like an ancient god just manipulating the timeline behind the scene for esports. This is awesome.
He's like a deity.
Yeah, like the Dionysus of esports.
You would like to play Deadlock? Yes, sir. Take an invite.
I mean, it's kind of true. I mean, even
5 to 7 days.
Back at EWC, before this stuff became like full pub, I was like, hey, this game's gonna be pretty big. Like, you should play it. And then,
It is
interesting
sick.
conversations there, especially with some people that have like miraculously done 180s. Like, oh no, I guess the game's gonna be good now. Oh god, I never saw that coming. I just thought the game was it was Smite. It was Smite. It was totally just Smite.
Shoot him over.
Like,
It was released on the 28th of July. Was the Catgirl Advanced Guide? Isn't that crazy?
It's been a while, you see. It's been a while.
It's been a while since that came out.
That kind of, though, gets into something that's sort of holding the game back a little bit competitively right now in terms of, like, advancing where skill is at and, like, people doing a lot of stuff is the fact that, like, pubs are still just random, right? Or I assume it's a thing where, like, Valve is still gathering data on everything. But you have the situation where, you know, no matter what your MMR is, when you use the Valve-supported, like, you're going to go into a game, you get thrown wherever, right? Regardless of what hero you are, like, maybe you'll be solo, maybe you'll be duo. If you're duo queuing, you're more likely to be duoed. But stuff that's more advanced, like trying to manipulate waves and everything like that, is that I think you would have seen a lot more of that if the game were in a state where you were choosing lane matchups and also doing pick ban on compositions, because then you could be like, okay, I'm going to pick a haze and I'm going run your lane this way here, like I'm gonna go green lane, you're gonna go yellow lane, and then we're gonna work this out essentially. And because you don't have that, because there's no like pre-game setup with a draft and you're not choosing lanes and all the rest, some of the more advanced stuff that I think people would have naturally have taken to, like, they just didn't really go to. Even in the high MMR games where like you're seeing the same people over and over again, it kind of
hard to coordinate.
Yeah, like it's weird because again, the high MMR stuff, like you do see a lot of the same people over and over again, but it's also it's very individualistic, and I think that entirely comes down to the fact that like you just don't have the actual like what is likely to be the final game mode in place of like picking lanes, picking characters, etc. And I assume a lot of that is just because Valve is still trying to get data on like what is actually going on and everything, like what sort of combinations make the best games. They didn't want people, I assume, to just go, hey, the game should be this way and we're gonna like tell everyone to do this and this is the meta, etc. They just want the actual data themselves to go, oh, it actually, like, games do just end better when it's like two duos in the middle and two solos on the sides, right? Like, I assume that's where Valve was coming from.
I mean, it makes sense as well. And again, it's just stuff that's got televised recently, as opposed to Valve devs combing the many guides and posts that are currently in the Discord, where you can find this sort of information. Because the amount of patch notes that they throw out, you can imagine they're working quite hard behind the scenes on the game. I don't know how many of them want to go home and like scrape the Discord for this little bits of information, which is literally just being used in certain pugs at the moment. And there's probably more pressing things to nerf, like Kevin, who makes my games a living nightmare at the moment. Reduce his base gun damage. That's it. I thought maybe it's I don't know. I think Ice Path needs a rework as well. It's a bit of a nightmare at the moment for Kevin.
Well, I think Kelvin sort of inadvertently hits on one of the bigger issues. Well, issue, you can debate how much of an issue it is. I think in a way it's like good that sort of works this way, but also like creates kind of a balance issue in terms of like abilities that are really good utility wise versus not. The idea that anyone can build gun, right? And what you're seeing with Kelvin is that the idea behind his design was that, oh, it's Kelvin, so you're going to build more spirit. You're going to be more magey, for lack of a better term, right? You're going to be more focused on your abilities. And then people eventually realized, wait, no, the scaling on this stuff is like actually
bonkers.
Really, really good. So why don't I just be gun guy and fly on Ice Path and shoot people, a million times with ice gun, and then also lock people into deathmatch and just 1v1 them because
actually true.
Like they're hit a point where people are just like, why aren't we doing this? And Gun Kelvin was born on top of all the other ridiculous crap that Kelvin was doing a few weeks ago when he was literally arguably the most impactful hero in the game for saying, well, normally for mid-boss, it's a risk and you need people dead. No, we have Kelvin. Just send it.
We've got
send it in Dome. Send it in Dome.
The same thing's happening with Yamato now as well, with Leafa spawning the cursed product that is 2 max a Yamato. Because you get +6 weapon damage on the tier 3. So that's for each individual shuriken. So that goes crazy as well. So it is essentially what you're saying, CP, which is, why don't we just build gun? So I think that some of the baselines need to change. I think that's a hard thing to do, though, because you've got to then balance all the abilities around stuff being reduced on that side. So I do think we're getting to the point where it's less easy to do what Valve's currently done, which is just throw out things and see if it sticks. Most of them are pretty astute, but now it's getting to the point where there's some tricky balancing to do.
Just buff everything else. If you just buff everything else to be as strong as gun,
No.
That'll be the plagues, and you just upwardly buff everything. Fine.
No, because it's the utility as well, which is the problem. You can't have
buff
both.
Everything.
You can't have both.
Buff everything. It's fine. If you just keep buffing everything, it'll be absolutely perfect.
Okay. All right.
Like, no more nerfs, only buffs.
Warden is just gonna get like multi-person jail that actually like summons an actual like jail cell, puts people in it, and
you're there for 4 to 6 months. You have to wait out the game in real time. Like,
I think we were talking about chaining Lady Guy's soul siphon earlier. It'd be cool if her ultimate chained the life drain to everyone around her.
Multiple people.
I was like,
that'd be good.
Be cool.
Geist probably needs something. Like I was talking with a friend like at the that's super high MMR and everything else, and his viewpoint and everything right now with Geist is that he's just like, I don't know, I feel like Geist has been power crept out of the game.
I mean 45 seconds early game on, because everything's had like the CD reductions, quite a few things had CD, and 45 seconds on life drain like early on just feels really bad. I think some smart people in the Discord were saying that a good way to change it is just stop letting people life drain troopers and just reduce the cooldown so you can only use it on enemy heroes. Because it is like a minute. Like, let's say laning is like 6 to 10 minutes. You get to use it, maybe 8 times during that time?
Yeah, I think Geist also has other issues where it's like, in theory, her ult should be awesome, but the reality is, like, how many times are you playing either against Geist, or if you are playing Geist, where you set up, use ult, and then you just fall over 2 seconds later anyways?
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of that right now with her, and it just, I get it. You don't want her ult to be ultra powerful or like super long range or anything else, because it's something that feels really bad to play against when it's on the overtuned end. But Geist is just in a weird spot where it's just like, okay, how much do you actually fear Geist relative to the other stuff that's going on in the game? Like, would you rather play against a Geist who's throwing out, a high damage bomb every now and then could life swap you, or would you rather play against a Viscus who's just going to bounce you around a million times in a row and also, almost be unkillable at times just rolling out? It's just there's a little bit of a difference in power.
I like Geist. I think she is fun, but it's just more. I feel like her problem is that the longer you've now gotten better at some of the other kits that are being made for other heroes, there's a few things that are just done a bit better, and all of them feel like they could do with a little bit of a pass to bring them up to a similar position of what we're getting now with like Shiv, Viscus, the way they have a little bit more flair, a little bit more focus on being unique in terms of their kits with some things, and obviously that focus on like everything being kind of skill based feels like it was really drilled in there. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point you even get slight tweaks to a lot of these older heroes in terms of their kits and stuff. Because it was like with Wraith, with her 1 being really boring for ages before it became card trick, when it was just like, these cards are going to float around me in a circle and they might hit someone and maybe do a bit of damage. And obviously that was like ages, and then they replaced it with something really good. But I like the way Geist works. I think if you can get the jukes off at just the right time with her ult, like if you can nail a Geist ult into bopping someone in the head and just rinsing them, it feels cool. Like, it feels really good. But sometimes it just feels like you get disabled by so much other stuff that you just can't. Like, you're instantly mowing krilled. You're just getting a combo to the lips. Like, something's stunning you before you can pull it off. And it just feels boring.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
It's brutal. I think it's a weird one, because there's heroes like that in the game currently, where the game has changed so much. It's like gone so hard on the skill expression side of things that some heroes just haven't changed with that, which is fair enough. And I think the way you look at Viscus, like coming out as a hero, and you said it's got loads of flair, and it does, but it sort of now matches the game that it's evolving into, I suppose. Best way to put it.
I do wonder where the game's going to go in some respects in terms of ability power and otherwise, because I feel like right now the thing that isn't super well defined, and part of it could just be players need to get better, or they need more experience in comp games, or everything else, right? Is the idea is that, what is the point in Deadlock right now where you have a truly unwinnable fight, and why is that the case, right? Because in theory, when you think about how team fights break down, especially in other games that have similarly hectic team fights, right? There should be pretty big advantages for being on defense. There should be pretty big advantages for having a really good coordinated engage, which, by the way, like even in the high MMR stuff, is sort of a crapshoot in terms of, you talk to players, it's like, well, what makes for a good engage right now? And right now, there's still...
My warden dies.
No, a lot of it is just sort of like, I don't know, man, we just go in, right?
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying here is that I do wonder right now if there's so much ability to escape in the game and so many sort of emergency oh shit buttons that get used a lot more at Heimdall, like your veils or just generally heroes that are slippery, right? Like, does it take away from the ideas that, well, when you're pushing in an offense, there should be more of a window for defense, have a really good engage and lock someone down type of situation, and is some of that being held back by the fact that right now game wise you just have so many options to sort of turn things into more of a brawl, even if the other team like jumps on you in a really good way, unless they have dynamo, in which case you just get
it's over. Yeah. It's a weird one because that's such a good point, to be honest with you, that I've not really thought of too much into. But the way I've always looked at that kind of subject anyway, is that a lot can be solved with the active items, but also the active items aren't super flashy and fun. Some are really cool, like Refresh is really cool, Divine's Kevlar, like, well, not Divine's Kevlar, but the Rock. Decay's not cool though, but Decay is almost needed in a lot of your high MMR games. Someone needs to pick it up for an Abrams or a Pocket or an Infernus, but it's difficult to get, I don't want to say the casual crowd, but maybe newer players coming into the game to be like, right, someone's going to need to buy Slowing Hex. Someone's going to need to buy Knockdown. We need someone to buy Curse.
That's kind of a thing too, though, game design wise, that should the game be designed in a way where purely because a single hero is in the game that now you need one or as many as like 2 or 3 people to buy something, right? Like, should the state of balance in the game be, oh, they picked Vindicta on character select screen, we need 2 people to grab Knockdown or we lose type of situation, like, or have a paradox, I suppose. Like, that's kind of the weird thing with a character like Vindicta, is that I think back to like super early on, right, where the characters were a little bit stronger at the time, but you almost had a dynamic where you didn't want a team to get both Vindicta and Paradox, because then not only were they both really, really strong, but the best counter to a Vindicta was a Paradox, right? At that period of time. This was also before people were spamming. People weren't spamming Slowing Hex like the first.
Yeah, it's true.
Weeks.
Haha, Slowing Hex, you fall, which was my favorite thing in the world. Not possible anymore.
It was a good couple of weeks.
It was a good couple of weeks.
Slowing Hex, yeah.
Well, Slowing Hex was kind of also weird in that it was basically just a band-aid to like certain things being probably like way too strong, because you didn't have to worry about what happens if a Vindicta is in the air and you don't like have great options, because 3 or 4 people on your team have Slowing Hex, and Vindicta's going to be like 2 feet off the ground and the Slowing Hex is coming in if she even gets to use it at all, right? Like, that was sort of the situation for a while.
It's tough. It is tough. But again, I think the game is still going. Oh, what was that? He's punching the mic. I think the game's going in a good direction, in my opinion. I do still think it's going in a good direction. I just do think we're getting to the stage now where we're getting to the tough balancing act.
Again, though, like there is an ounce of truth in that, where you can kind of just balance things around it, and I think it will be fine. I think more so right now, where the game's getting to, though, is you're getting a lot of different data compared to everything we've had for ages, where they're seeing things that they otherwise wouldn't. You're fixing things that you're being exposed to. But again, you look at sort of with Deadlock, it's one of those where I feel like you have to look back to look where it's going, and you can see obviously how much more is left to be dropped on it based on what they had already made, and then they're quickly sprinkling in now. And it finally feels like you're getting to a place where There's a lot of personality in it. The lanes are starting to come together. You're getting more of those smaller tweaks on things. We're not getting new items every patch. We're not getting new heroes every patch. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more calmer where you are refining stuff. I think with the gameplay loop you've got right now, it doesn't need anything too outrageous thrown on top. Like, everything kind of works. It feels pretty good. So I wouldn't even be surprised if it calms down a little bit on some of the more drastic changes for a little while. Gives them time to do some of the more visual side that they're messing with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Like, the base gameplay of Deadlock, of course, is really, really fun. It just right now the question is, how are the nuances going to be ironed out, especially at the higher end, as people get better and better at you know basically pushing the system to the limit and seeing stuff. And again, I think the only thing that's really held back some of that evolution is just the fact that there's no inbuilt matchmaker pick system just yet, with bans, with lane assignments and everything else, because once you get to that point, that's where the game is going to evolve a lot more. And I think also probably incentivize teams to do more scrims and sort of help that side of the game out as well, because how that's developed right now is very interesting, where you have teams, but relative to again, I think back to like 8 years ago when Overwatch came out, right? There's less teams around and less teams super actively scrimming relative to what you would expect right now. But I feel like so much of that is just kind of how the game has evolved with like how people have been matchmaking. It's a very interesting dynamic, though.
I think that the game changes so frequently as well. It's like it's tough to. I think people are enjoying scrimming and people do scrim. I mean, I was saying earlier that I joined the Pug Discord recently, trying to get some more games in there, which fits my schedule, which is a little more difficult because there's not a lot of EU people currently pugging. Please come join us. I beg it. But I do think it's just a case of, like, with the game changing so much, people likely having fun, and you will have like your top players a lot of the time that are breaking out into Deadlock. But for other players, it's a case of, I can wait. I could probably wait a little bit longer for this to be more defined.
Yeah, I think that's where it is. Deadlock is right now. It's very much a kind of learning pot of even some of the bigger games. Things are kind of a bit weird and a bit wacky. It feels more like CS did, where when it kind of initially came out, it was more like, you could either like meet people through IRC and join their weird custom games and play pugs that way, or you can go to a LAN or hang out with friends. And then matchmaking came in later on, like with Go, where they dropped that and it was like, whoa, all right. But now obviously we don't have any ranked yet, but when they throw that in at some point, I think that will be a nice curve to it. I still don't think ranked any time soon, though. I think the timeline there, you still got to at least go public fully, because we're still invite only, right? It's just a lot easier to get an invite, so you don't think about it as much, even though they kind of had their like public soft launch. But I reckon once we get that, it'll change. I'm still rooting for the custom games. That's what I'm kind of think will be a game changer, dude. I want to see what people do with Deadlock in terms of the random custom games and like weird stuff. I think that's going to be unreal.
Okay, so when you say custom games, you're not talking about like making a custom lobby and just inviting
No.
You're talking about like the actual modding of the game.
I mean like a tower defense mode that you can play through Deadlock, where I have to protect Mo and Krill getting home with your shopping,
Well, that's cool.
I mean, I'll be honest,
nice,
just play that, but also like let them die. Like, don't even do the objective. Like, it's fine.
Whoa, what's wrong with Maurice and Krillius?
Damn.
Everything.
They're good people.
Mo and Krill
No.
They've got a strong they've got strong morals. Maurice's claws can get through anything.
Have you seen when he jumps and Krill kind of falls off the back of Maurice
He's like,
a little
whoa.
bit? Yeah.
And then when he slides on him like a big penguin.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's
I
cute.
like Mo and Krill. I like Mo and Krill a lot. I got a lot of time for Mo and Krill. I think he's cool. I also saw some ridiculousness which made me laugh.
He needs some adjusting though.
No, not even that. So this is when I made that video about the fact he has 2 headshot hitboxes. I saw some of the most funny stuff in the world where people would reply to that and they'd go, well, obviously this is so broken, because what if me and my friend just shoot 1 head each? And it's like, well, I mean, you're doing
I
the
like
same
the way that guy's mind works. I like the way that guy's mind works.
The one that was more like big brain than that is someone did comment and say, can you collateral? And what if I lined it up to hit both heads? And I was just like, I mean, at least this guy's trying to think with portals. Like he's giving it a go.
He's figuring it out.
Here's my question for Mo and Krill in the long term. When you think about how things have evolved in the game and like what has been taken away, what has been given in terms of abilities, do you see Mo and Krill actually keeping their disarm on the sand 3 months from now? Like
that's
3 months
true.
now.
Because every disarm did kind of slowly get taken away. That you make a good point.
I think the disarm will stay. I'm expecting its duration to be nerfed though, because I think that item disarms. No, thank you. But if you've got a hero with a disarm, I think that's fair because it's one of their abilities. But the duration is absolutely egregious at the moment for some heroes.
You do still have an item disarm though, in the form of curse, or curse does it.
Yeah, but that's like 6.3k. I was talking about when it was very easy.
Oh yeah, the old Withering Whip 1200.
Yeah, Withering Whip. Yeah. I remember those days. Awful days playing against Hayes. Come up to you and be like, "Oh, I can do nothing. Can't do anything there. You whipped me." It's the worst.
I still think we're gonna hit a point meta-wise where I don't know what exactly is gonna cause it, but I do feel like we're gonna hit some point where everyone's just like, yeah, everyone just buy curse.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
Just disable.
I think the problem we have right now is it does seem like communication isn't really that drilled in, especially because it's not a thing at like high levels yet. Even, you've got it with some sort of mixed teams, but even then, like really drilling your comms and it being super precise in pugs ain't going to happen anytime soon with the way it feels like it's trickling down. And everyone's very selfish in most like normal matchmaking games, you know what I mean? If you're trying to convince someone like, hey, homie, I need you to buy Curse, it's just going to be like, dude, I'm not buying Curse and I'm never speaking to you again. And then they run away, It's just like, okay, bye.
There's a lot that's going to change, both in terms of pub culture and also what we're seeing from organized teams. Like everything from how do you proportion the jungle, versus, you get games right now, right, where it's like, oh, you have a 7 and Infernus on the team, and they're actually
There's
like the
none
real
left.
The real war isn't between them and the other team. The real war is between themselves as they try to grab the entire jungle, and then anyone else in the game, if you're playing like an Abrams or... Yeah, you're playing like an Abrams or a Warden, and you're just like, you need a little bit of cash to get yourself going. It's like we have absolutely nothing in our jungle.
There's
Like
no
it's bone dry. And then your game actually turns into shit because you have 2 people on the team that have just essentially hogged all the farm.
Dude,
I like this fat 7 fat Infernus move.
God, big
Greedy.
boys sat there.
Greedy.
Yeah. Can you come to the lane, please?
I'm eating a lot. I don't know.
They're taking Blue Walker.
I might go back to tier 3 actually.
I've got a farm.
Everyone has had that game with like the Infernus that has by far the most souls on the team is negative KDR, and then you look at the damage at the end, and you're like, how have you done half the damage of anyone else in the game? Like the Ivy had 4 times your damage. What is going on?
No, dude, that's why they do it. You see like these hazes with like 50k in the bank. They're not trying to win the game. They're saving so they can take it to the next game. They're holding on to those souls. They have a small bank account that they put their souls into at spawn. This is a new common strategy, and people are saving their souls in the bank.
But the bigger point I was getting at too is that like the idea is like pub culture and like how these things should be handled. Like what is the actual protocol? Like it's not there yet because it's kind of a free for all. You get when it comes to stuff like that, you get in terms of the idea of like who should be initiating fights. Like it was the proper way of going at. Which, by the way, I think like across all competitive play is like by far the weakest like element of team, like even teams like on the pro level teams that are winning tournaments, is that like the idea of okay, how do you have really good initiations, how do you have really good counter initiations, like what do you expect the other team to do, like what are you looking for the jump on, and it's all just very sloppy right now, and in the future it's going to get very, very precise and very, very calculated, which ironically enough is going to make casting a little bit easier too, because like casting right now, it kind of has all the vibes of like compared to another game, right? If you watch an Overwatch game and you compare watching like a tier 3 game historically to say in the past a top level OWL match, it was way easier to cast the top level OWL match because everything worked like clockwork, and it's just like, I know you have this power and you're going to do this, and you don't fuck it up because you are really good, and that's just the flow of the game. And then you watch a tier 3 game in that situation, you go, what the fuck is going on? Like you should be alive. Like the guy that shouldn't be alive killed 2 people. Like what in the hell? And then you look at a game like Deadlock right now, and it has that factor times infinity because relative to where they'll go, the teams aren't very good right now.
Yeah.
Again, relative to what a lot of practice or time will get them to, and people don't necessarily even know like what's the best ways to approach everything. So when you're watching it, it's sort of all right. We'll see if this works, but it will get better as time goes on.
Yeah. What do you think about this? I'll just workshop this in my head. That was a great point, by the way. I mean that. I think this sounds so bad. That I'm just like, I've just completely just chopped this up. I'm so sorry.
What are you coming out with?
All right. Well, I'll workshop this. Well, ZP's like got my little cogs in my head whirring at the moment.
Okay.
He's talking about Deadlock in ways that it's resonating. But what about if you had a way in game on the shop? You could like ping something that would like tell the rest of your team that you're planning to build it. So as you could ping like, I'm planning to build Knockdown. I'm planning to build Slow and Hex. And then you'd be able to like even things out across the team.
Why don't we just have a pop-up for your team, like somewhere on your screen that just tells you like what your teammates are building in a simpler way? So like if you buy like a good item, it pops up, a quick indicator, like a couple seconds right hand side of the screen, like Dota when you're spectating, just so you can be like, oh, cool, I see you're buying that.
Got Slow and Hex.
He's got slowing Hex, cool.
Ooh.
So you'd have an idea. Or even just display teammates' builds in a short-form version clearly when you are opening the shop. So you can even see, like, in lane with you, in Furnace. And you're like, oh, you're building toxic bullets, are you?
Oh, yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. That could work. What do you think, ZP?
Well, I mean...
The Arbiter. Ancient God of Deadlock.
It could be helpful, but there's also the realm of just using voice and going like, hey, they have Vindicta. We need 2 knockdowns. I'll build 1 knockdown. Who else wants to actually...
That's ableist, because I don't have a voice. So I can't talk.
We did see that at one point earlier, and I helped where we ignored Blank. That's where it kicked in. That's where it kicked in.
Pretty good. All right. See, I was training you guys for bugs.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak to you. I'm not going to communicate.
Jackie, you've taken half the jungle. What are you going to be buying? No, I can't come out.
No.
I was just asking what are you going to be building. It's like, no, I can't come to the fight. Like,
I can't come to the fight right now.
I'm jungling right now, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not
if you need me, text me.
Yeah,
please.
I'm not coming.
Yeah.
I'm not coming.
But no, I think that could be a good idea. I like that. Just in terms of being like, look, here's a little breakdown of the build. Yeah. And I totally understand what you say, ZP. And I think at the higher levels that we've played in, it's a case of you just talk to your teammates like, I'm doing this. Yeah. But I think for the pub matches and pub mentality, like that might be a good thing. And also, I genuinely think that even if someone doesn't communicate something, you can like, all right, he's got that ability now. Maybe I don't need to save him because he's got ethereal shift.
Yeah, it would just be nice to know. It's like how I think even if you displayed an ult indicator on a minimap or something, or if like their minimap icon had a bit of a glow when they had an ult, so at a glance you could be like, all right, well, 4 of the homies got ults right now on Greenwich. We dive in. You know what I mean?
We're going in.
Like do it that way. That could be cool.
Yeah, visual representation in the game. I think that's not something that we're lacking. There is a lot of it, but I think just certain things, even for the current ult display, I was having a conversation with this, I can't remember with who actually, but I know that Bebop's ult is a bit weird because it doesn't go on cooldown until he's finished, but technically it's already gone on cooldown, at least on the indicator, and then sometimes it doesn't even line up, it's not accurate, so you can't track it off the back of that. So just things like that, making it more visually easier to see.
Yeah, one of the interesting things too is that I do wonder if there's room to optimize, like, well, there definitely is from the observer point of view and giving a good spectator experience, but also even from the player point of view is sort of, on one hand, I don't think you want to spoon feed people that people have hit their power spikes in terms of item combinations that they're getting. But on the other hand, I feel like there should be an easier way at a glance to sort of realize, oh, they just bought like, their big 3K item or 6K item that now completes where they're at and makes them really powerful relative to the rest of the game for like the next 2 to 3 minutes, right? Like, I almost wonder if there's a better way of parsing that information, people to understand where that's at. Because, again, I think when you talk to even top players, there's like almost a level where people sort of unconsciously sort of get some of the stuff, but like don't actually verbalize what's going on, where there's scenarios where there's builds where it all comes together at around like 15 minutes, and that's really good because that's around the type of the game where you start getting kills and it really matters.
Yeah.
But where's the representation of that? Like when you're in game, like looking quick, it was like, oh shit, like he just got like the last item he needed, or from an observer point of view of, oh, they really want to take this fight now because now this person just got this. The observer could catch it by looking at it, but there should be, there should be an alert or something along the lines like, oh, you just bought this, like, oh,
maybe 6.2k items. Yeah,
that will happen, I think, because it's in Dota 2 right now. Like the observing for that, it pops up items, you get all the graphs. I think like Deadlock is basically in the most bare bones state of observing that it will be, because also all of this stuff you can pull through the game state integration, like the API and stuff. So it'll be like CS. I imagine TOs will have custom HUDs. Everything will look sick. You'll have the item pop-ups. You just do it like you literally do. Just have one observer for each team. So 2 first-person observers, or third-person in Deadlock. And then you get 2 cinematic observers that just doing pans and shit all over the place. And
then, crazy.
Yeah, and then one observer that just does a dedicated WAM, dedicated WAM observer slot, where basically he just flies around the top and just catches cinematic overviews of fights. Because I see people saying like you should do all of it in third person, but that's whack.
No,
they wanted to do that with Overwatch.
Okay.
It's bad. It's objectively sucks.
I mean, okay, you were in the room. I think
I was there. I tried to stop this timeline single-handedly.
Oh god, dude, there is you just like. You brought back repressed memories.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they had early OW. It's just there was a contingent of people in Overwatch, like at both like in the public and also in private, like at Blizzard, 4TOs, otherwise. There was a group of people that was like third person. Everything. It's like
third person only.
It's just like no.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
I was the last. Me and Sliggy, Overwatch, because we were the last bastions of people going. No, you can't see skill in third person. And we're sat in the round table at Blizzard, and they did not want to hear it. But so I hate that. I hate people saying it should be only third person. That's bad. That's a silly opinion. There's way better ways to do it.
I also have
like third person with a nice camera angle and then good cinematic shots. That's it.
Right. I've also a concise way of addressing this that would have been even better to have evolved back in the day, but I think right now you think about it and it really hits home, right? There's plenty of data for esports that the vast majority of your viewers are people that at least in part are watching because they want to play better at the game or have a better understanding of the game, right? OWL themselves did surveys of this data, and they told the casters that back in 2020. It's like, oh yeah, this is actually what a lot of our viewers are. And for a game like Deadlock, it's going to be very similar, especially given how, the skill gap in the game, like all the shit you can do. People are going to be very interested in what pro players are doing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. How do you play Deadlock? Well, you play it from the third person perspective of the character. Like, if you're watching to try and get better at the game, not everything has to be that view, but you're gonna want to see what the viewpoint the player is doing, and not just this skybox view of oh, I just want to make sure I don't miss any parts of the action. It's no, if you're gonna connect with the players, you need to have the player's point of view a good portion of the time, and that's just the reality.
Just literally, all you do is just give me their actual POV, pull it so I have their screen, everything they would see while I was playing. Give me those dedicated feeds, so I just have 12 feeds of the player screens. I have one PC that's just replay obs on a delay. You give me the cinematic observers, and I'm happy. I'm done. That works. And then it's absolutely fine, and there would be no issues. And then just don't cut around rapidly. Just nice cuts. You know what I mean? Nice cuts.
Also, Jackie, the other fight that'll happen here, too, because it happened in Overwatch. Yeah. And, the CS side of things, they won, and I think a lot of the CS observers won the Valorant, and they won there because they're like, fuck no, we're not doing that. There's always going to be that guy in the room that's just like, but Jackie, why don't you do the cheat feed with the 2-minute delay, and then you don't miss anything because you know about it? Yeah. It's just like, no, you do not want the cheat feed. No,
it's just, there's something to be gained from that, but it also takes away a lot as well. I think you just want the live gameplay with a delay for replays, and that's that. And you can catch everything, homie. Like, if you've got all these EVS machines, you're having all these feeds, you're catching everything. You're not missing anything. I think it's fine. But the conversation of Deadlock observing, maybe we can do a whole podcast on that another time. We'll go back. We'll dig deep into the chest of knowledge.
Because we could go for a while on that. I think just the three of us we have here. That. Yeah.
We've all been there. We've been in the trenches.
I mean, last thing I'll say is just put the colours back in the lanes on the observing feed, please. I think it's probably going to make things easier. Especially for
They're making them more themed. I'm sure of it. Like,
Yeah, but it's just a case of they're all blue or they're all yellow. Like,
wow. Slightly. Yeah. Oh, you mean like the zipline lane colors?
no, like on the minimap. Well, for observing,
Oh,
right? Sapphire
okay,
versus
both.
Amber. Yeah.
Both. Yeah, don't like that. Give me some sort of indicator of sapphire and amber base colors, and then just everything else should be the lane colors as it is. Because they
Yeah.
even changed the zip lines in Spectate to be amber or sapphire now. It's no longer colored. It's kind of stupid. I don't like
Yeah.
that one.
Don't
At
like
one
that.
point, I would like to hear like the reasoning as to why they did sapphire versus amber as opposed to like sapphire versus ruby. Because like blue v red is like the more.
I think it's just
Oh,
because
come
it
on.
looks. I think it's just because it looks more like Counter-Strike. It's like a muted version of the orange and blue they use in CS. I guess that
Oh,
just works
true.
for contrast. Because red looks
Yeah.
bad on an encoder.
Well, yeah,
Basically,
that is
like,
true.
Yeah, red looks shit on live streams. So people are moving away from red, basically. That's why. So there you
You
go.
remember
Interesting.
the early OW streams where people figured out encoding in that game, you actually just could not read like eliminations
Yeah,
or anything
it
at
was-
all. It just like
it was bad.
the encoder was having nothing to do with it unless you
Wow.
were on a really high end setup.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. That's another episode of the podcast. That's in the bag. We'll do another one of these. We'll do this again on a different time when we have more time, because there's a lot we can go into. But this was good. This was ZP's first debut to the podcast. I have a feeling you're going to become a regular guest, because we did want to do this ages ago as well, like you said
Yeah.
at the start.
Yeah.
It was supposed to happen as like episode 1 when we were at an event together. But obviously now we finally got to do it. So we'll do more of these, ZP. But this was good. There you go. We had some Deadlock talk for the day. I hope everyone's
did, yeah.
happy. We only aired Blank one time.
That's right. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I've just come off a long day of broadcast straight into the podcast.
Yeah.
The classico.
Instantly aired. Instantly
Yeah.
ignored.
I was like, right, fair enough.
Ironically, that was the first time on anything we've done there has been dead air.
True.
Oh, yeah, it was on
true.
brand. It was
It was
actually
on
on
brand.
brand.
It was on brand. It was on brand.
There you go. There you go.
There it
Okay.
is again. It's there.
It's
again.
back again. All right, everyone.
All right, kill it.
That's a
Kill
great
it.
episode. Let's shut it down. This really was a scuffed one. We'll do this again, but better next time. All right. Say goodbye, everyone, and apologise for
later.
what we've done.
See ya.
I'm so
Goodbye.
sorry.
I'm
so
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Episode title. We'll do this again, but
God.
better. Bye.
God, I'm so sorry.